Okay, my man.
Peace, brethren.
Welcome to the first episode of the podcast. And yeah,
It's an absolute honor to be a part of this. It's been a while that, we haven't known each other for that long, but I feel like it's been ages.
yeah, bro, I feel that. So I want to begin by asking you, what are the meanings behind your tattoos?
Oh, that's a very good personal up and close way to actually start an interview. Most of it's actually related to my music. Practically everything I have on my body is related to the music somehow. It's related to the core personalities that I have. Like to me, I believe the life path numbers we're born with actually relate to our number of core personalities. And since I've released a lot of music under the name Legion, and that's my middle name, David. It's one of my middle names, and so that's one of the reasons why I have the We Are Legion tattoo on my chest. But that also represents that, anonymous and We Are Legion, anonymous for the voiceless, anonymous OP blood. Then I have Sadhu Militia on one side and Plague Monks on the other. That's two huge super collectives that were co-founded, or that I was a part of, that were co-founded by me in the case of Sadhu Militia. And oh shit, battery low.
How old were you
Well,
during
let's
that
keep
time?
trying to do this anyways.
How old were you
Um,
during that time?
I'll see how much I can do with this. But yeah, so the tattoos, the rest of my body, some of them, these ones related to Bratva and Sistra, that's like the principles of the mafia in Russia, but for the brotherhood and the sisterhood. So the sisterhood is always neglected in that sense. I believe that mafias should be overtaken matriarchally. I believe that the mafias should be recontrolled by women. They would do a much better job running that than politics. I feel like the old creepy politicians we have are not working. So I feel like mafia women would know how to solve that. So
Wow,
that's one of the reasons
that's
why I have
perfect.
those two tattoos on my legs. I have Jnana and Prajna too because it's important thing to have the balance of knowledge and wisdom. I have those tattooed on my legs and on the front here in Sanskrit. And I designed not most, maybe half the tattoos myself. The Wolverine represents one of my core personalities, my birth name, Kwekijuk, in Innu. That basically all my tattoos, they're all related to music one way or another. Otherwise, there's Guanyin and Padma, but then I have two sets of albums that I've made for both of them. Like so many different albums I've made for in honor of both of them.
Wow. How old were you when you got your first tattoo?
28 actually. It's pretty ridiculous. I
Hmm.
wanted to get them since I was a teenager, but I never really got into it somehow. I don't know why. I just didn't like. I didn't think of spending my money that way. I was stupid enough that I started spending it at first on jewelry and on
Wow.
marijuana
Yeah.
and partying. Instead of going to get tattoos. And I think it's because I was too young back then, so I could have gotten someone to go get me a tattoo under 18, but like it would have been kind of a bit of a hassle.
What do you think attracted you to buy jewelry at that young age?
Honestly, a lot of it was influenced by the music. Like the music I
Yeah.
was listening to was very much materialistic, very much influencing me in the sense that I was getting caught up in the same idea of what I thought was a gangster than the music I was listening to. That included, from Nas to Dr. Dre to Snoop Dogg to CNN. Sometimes later on Tupac, but Tupac brought out a lot of good revolutionary aspects to me that I noticed more in his speeches and in his interviews and in his court interview especially. But like when he was talking in general, he always had something revolutionary and intelligent to say about society, about reflecting about life in general. I didn't notice that with most of the rest of the industry.
Oh, yeah.
So recently, I took it upon myself to actually start dissing a bunch of people in the industry that aren't doing their job properly, and I'm glad I did that. A lot of people criticize me for it, but I'm glad I actually came out and did that because to me, it's very important that somebody out there actually start out, speaking out about misogynistic, queerphobic, patriarchal rap culture.
Exactly, man. Yeah. And especially like with the younger generations, they can be so easily influenced by such like negative sources that they kind of see in a higher light because they haven't really seen that higher light to things. But they just have like the bad role models that are leading them.
Exactly. Just in case my phone dies out and shuts down from the battery, let's just do a second series in like 30 minutes or something like that. If you want, we
Yeah.
can just call this a part one, just a bit of an introduction.
Yeah.
Um, I'll plug in my phone as soon as I can, but I just wanted to say I really appreciate anyone who downloads this, who watches it out there too. There used to be a website that's called revolt-motion.com. The government pulled it off. They wiped the archives. Everything disappeared, but it's still available on many of the albums if you download them on Revolt Motion on bandcamp.com. If you go look up Revolt Motion Records on Bandcamp, there's many of the albums, and I'm going to include it on new albums that have We Are the Revolution Part 1, which is the website from Revolt Motion that's all compiled into a PDF document that's easily downloadable and printable. And it's got just the first part of the website, but it's got some very important key points about nutrition, about intersectionality, about mass extinction, about the age that we're living in, how to stay conscious and aware, how to stay healthy. So I just wanted to mention that quickly for anybody who would be listening.
Yeah, bro. So when we do talk, actually, let's try to get into it now, but why did the government take down that part of the website?
You know, I've been waiting on it for like 15 years. To be honest, there's declassified CIA information on there. There's links to WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks has been heavily targeted by the US government. Like, it's a miracle to me that we lasted 15 years online.
Yeah.
Like 15 years of that website being independently hosted in Greece, in Crete, in an island off the coast of Greece.
It was
So
hosted in Greece?
that's why they weren't
Wow.
able to shut it down, because they had no dominion over the website address.
Wow.
So they couldn't shut down the address, but they finally found a way to do it through the Weebly server. So they wiped Weebly.
Mm.
And it's crazy because I paid for it and they wiped it anyways. So it's a long story, but
Wow.
it's really sad because after that the online archive got wiped about a week later, and that usually stays there for decades. It can stay there for a decade. You could find a website from like 10, 12 years ago. You could go on the online archive and still find it. I found mine for about a week after that. I barely had time to pull off half the information and it was gone off the archive. So
Wow.
somebody's obviously been trying. My Facebook's been hacked, my social media's been hacked, my Instagram, my Bandcamp got shut down. There's times where I shut it down. There's other times where it got shut down, not by Bandcamp, but by people that were hacking it. The YouTube got hacked twice. So it's been tough in that sense. It's been heavily targeted, but I feel like there's a reason why, because the whole industry is, you know, I'm not even that influential in the sense of like there might be 2 to 5 million people that listen to my music across the planet. It's a decent amount of people, but it's a lot of people. I'm super grateful for the people who do listen, and the ones who don't, it's totally fine. I get it. I just wish for everyone to actually be aware of what intersectionality is. To me, that would be the key point of this interview, would be intersectionality. If I had to say one word that anyone should go study, it's that word, because it's essentially what it comes down to, and you would know that, is the interconnectedness that they talk about in all indigenous traditions. So we're all interconnected, and at the end of the day, everything that we do is interconnected. That involves our nutrition, the clothes we buy, the items, everything else. You know this already. You live off grid, I live off grid. It's crazy because your name's Logan. My middle name is David. It's like literally we're having like a live podcast between Wolverine and Legion and the X-Men, and you're live on the West Coast in the Gulf Island, and I'm live on the East Coast near the Atlantic tip. So you know, technology is doing some wondrous things
It's
by
a
linking
blessing,
this
bro.
together and making this happen.
For real.
I feel like we're gathering the mutants, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, like I feel there's so many souls that are coming into this world that are seeking for this kind of light, but they just can't find it because of all the algorithms that really trap people in the matrix. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
when,
no, it's been crazy the amount that people have been conditioned to not believe that they're conditioned.
yeah,
It's like this
yeah,
loop of like drinking fluoridated water and not caring about the fluoride, or being like, I'm not brainwashed, I just have a 9 to 5 job and I like to eat meat and byproducts, and I watch football and drink Coors Light, and I like steak and potatoes, and I can't handle spice, and I have gut problems, but I don't know why. Like, I feel
exactly.
like we live in a society where the last time I talked to KDB from Babylon Warchild, I asked him how Toronto was doing. And that's one of the most influential groups in Canadian hip hop history, Babylon Warchild. And I was talking to Unknown Misery just yesterday, like I was telling you, and I got a link back up with him. We're working on a new project. But KDB was telling me also from Babylon Warchild the last time we talked a couple years ago. I said, "How's Toronto?" And he said, "It's zombie land out here." And I got exactly what he was saying, because to me, what he was saying is that we're surrounded by a bunch of people just shuffling around, not really knowing what they're doing with their lives. And I'm not saying everyone's a zombie, because obviously, if somebody's listening to this and they're hearing the conversation, a zombie doesn't have the ability to reflect on a conversation. They don't have a consciousness to speak of. They're way too busy with everything that's crammed into their busy day schedule that they don't have time to think for themselves. At the end of the day, they're a slave of the system. But people who are listening to this already are marginalized to a certain extent, because this is underground shit. So I don't want to disrespect anyone by saying that, but at the end of the day, that was expressing a clear message to me that the world is deeply sick, and we're at a transitional time where people have to wake up. Otherwise, we're dying. It's a mass extinction.
Yeah, man. That's why just like doing the work on yourself and really bringing yourself to that higher level, then you can know what it's like to go through that process. And then once you do gain in that sense of power and awareness, then bringing hundreds more with you is only better than just you going up by yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's why I have so much land out here too, with Newton Academy and everything else. Like I'm custodian for over almost 300 acres of land. Actually, more than that if you count the Sand in BC repopulation project. And I just want to be able to share that land with people, and with people that I can trust.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, now at least I have like the love of my life. I have a twin mirror that is amazing with me, that I can share that with, that's coming over this spring. I'm extremely grateful that I fell in love again, and that she fell in love with me, especially. Um, that's another thing. To me, true love and interconnectedness, they go together. Once you learn how to love someone unconditionally, you can learn how to love the world unconditionally. But then you have to love the right parts of the world. You can't love a diseased person and then spread the disease, you know? Like, I mean, you can heal them, but you can't just like propagate the disease with them and then be like, I love them, I'm going to share and eat diseased meat with people. Don't get it. They think meat is a ritual. That's like, to me, animal ag is the greatest genocide in history. You know this already, but meat as a ritual, it's an occult ritual. It's a murder ritual of an innocent child. Like, that's the most horrible thing that somebody could think of doing. It's snuff, bestiality, child rape, child torture, child murder, like a genocide, infanticide. It's like all 80 sins wrapped up in one bite. And people
Definitely.
don't get that shit. It's like, it drives me nuts. It baffles the shit out of me. And I'm like, what world are we living in that people have to be convinced not to eat children?
Exactly. And like you were saying, like the interconnectedness of things, just like when you do eat meat and when you do eat these things with a lot of karmic baggage on them, then that becomes part of your essence entirely. And then you
Yeah.
basically are manipulated by these strings that indulge your senses to keep you in this prison in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, and that it's the same. What it really comes down to is it's really that, like, it's the industry of animal ag is child porn. It's child bestiality and child porn and snuff porn. And like, so they're feeding that to everyone, and people are like, but I'm still, I want another bite of bacon. I'm like, it's like literally like you're saying you want to eat the flesh of a dead baby on a plate, and you're telling me it's difficult for you not to do that. I
Yeah.
just want to, sometimes I just want to murder motherfuckers, because I'm like, listen, this is horrible. Like, I know I can't do that politically speaking, but if somebody tells me, when I get them to admit, like, yes, I eat raped and tortured children, at that point, I'm like, that should be fair game. Because when they admit that they're doing that, I'm like, holy shit. But, you know, you can't be an extremist in this world. I'm like, that's not extreme. Extreme is letting people eat the flesh of children. That's extreme. But telling someone that they can't do anything about it, I grabbed a dude one time, slammed him against the wall, and put a machete to his face, and I said, I should chop you up and feed you to wild dogs, because he said he ate raped and tortured children, but he was drunk as fuck on a 40 of vodka, and he was like 20 years old. He was like 6'4" or something like that. But, you know, really, really drunk, like almost blackout drunk. And then he looked at me and he was like, shit, sorry, thanks for waking me up. And then he snapped out of it. And the next time I went to see him, he was making a vegan smoothie and he was fine. And I realized he was a really good artist and we became friends and she's a good dude, you know? But it took me shaking him up like that, slamming him into a wall, putting a machete to his face and saying, listen, I should do that to you. I had no intention on hurting him. But I'm like, I need to scare the shit out of him because he just said he likes to eat raped and tortured children. Because I told him, those cattle, those steaks that you're eating, those are raped and tortured children. He's like, I eat raped and tortured children. I was like, so, but in this world, because of that, they have me on injections. They have me on a court schedule, court ordered schedule, and they want to say that I'm a threat to society. I'm like, what's threatening? What's more threatening? Especially if the guy didn't even press charges against me, you know?
Are you still being noticed for that time that you did that?
Yeah, it's there's that's one thing. I got framed for 3 different situations. So I got framed. 3 different people said I tried to murder them with a machete I didn't have.
Oh yeah.
So a police officer, a retired army officer, and a fix-it guy. All 3 of them actually claimed that I tried to murder them with a machete and chase them out of the house. That's why I'm on an injection schedule still right now. But it's insane because they have so much information on me. They have so much stacked up on my court files. And they're still not doing anything about anything. And they never accuse me of anything. They just make up these bogus situations to take me to the hospital and then keep me under surveillance for a month. And I'm like, or 3 months or 3 years. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what world do we live in that I'm at a point where I'm getting framed by racist authorities for something I could already be guilty of if they dug into my fucking history? They could just use something I already have on my criminal record and arrest me for that, but instead they want to frame me for trying to murder a cop. I'm like, something is wrong here. Like, there's got to be something going on.
Hmm. Honestly, like for what you've done for so many people, you don't really, yeah, you just don't deserve to be experiencing that kind of pressure on you from outside sources. It's just
No, nobody does. Not
nobody
in a
does really.
situation like that.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing that kind of work, especially too. But thank you for saying that.
Like life can be so beautiful, but the system, yeah, the system really just adds so many unnecessary pressures on you. But how would you see yourself in 5 years from this point in time?
Oh, on an island somewhere with a submarine, off charted waters, um, traveling around the world, um, sinking warships, working with sea shepherds, sinking like illegal poachers in the sea. That's my plan. But 5 years from now, I plan on having an island, a submarine, or a boat, working with Sea Shepherd and Greenpeace, and shutting down a bunch of illegal whalers and people doing that kind of stuff, and living on an island doing scientific research and pirate radio in my spare time.
Wow, dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, no, I have to. I'm like, I wanna become Captain Nemo eventually. Like,
Hmm.
that's my goal in life, is to actually become like Captain Nemo, but better, like a better version of that.
For example, like all of this is a thought right now. All of this is only just a mental thought form and a mental projection. Would you say that your entire life has been a mental thought form that over time you believed in it over time and then it eventually became a reality and then you did that over
Yeah,
and
that's what
over?
I call the seventh sense. It's an archangelic sense. It's self-manifesting destiny. So when you speak it, especially if you put it on light digital beads that are spun around at high speeds, those CDs represent Sudarshana chakras. That's what Krishna has on his fingers that kills all the demons. The CDs are like protection ciphers, and they spin around light beads of information that creates music, and the vibrational frequency protects you. So those are my weapons. I have about 219 of them, maybe 270 of them. I don't know, but I have very high density level number of Sudarshana chakras. So I have unlimited sudarshanas for EMPs, and that triggers electromagnetic pulses of music across the planet that resonate at a different vibrational frequency. So what's very interesting with that is that it's neurological hacking, essentially.
Neurological hacking. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
Yeah, it's not like we're not programming people. It's not trying to program people. There's neurological hacking. There's neurological artivism. I'd say hacktivism, artivism, because it's a form of, there's romantic poetry in there. There's futurism. There's activism. There's like comedy. There's all kinds of stuff that I put into hip hop. To me, I try to do different styles. Like today, this morning, I just released another album. Yesterday, I released another album, like 17 tracks. This morning, another 10 tracks. So I don't know if I'm going to keep going like this for quite a while. But either way, every other day, I'm usually releasing something new. If anyone's listening in right now, like anyone that's actually watching this, go check out the Revolt Motion Bandcamp. I keep adding new albums on that all the time. There's about 100 different artists on there from around the world, including goddesses from all over the diaspora. Groups, some of the best groups in the world. I don't want to start naming names because if I start naming, there's going to be too many people that'll be left out. But if you go check for yourself, I guarantee you'll find music that you already know there. You'll find music that you wish you knew, and you'll find music, I guarantee you, that you're probably going to want to know. So yeah, that's what I would say. Yo, do you mind? Do you think we can chop this before it cuts in the middle of nowhere? Because I probably have about 1% left on my battery, and then we
yeah,
can do like a
yeah,
part two in about 20 minutes.
yeah, bro. This call good for now. I feel like that was very good. How we just flowed like that.
Amazing,
Bro,
amazing. No, thank
you
you
did very
so
good,
much for
bro.
doing this.
Bro. And yeah, like you also use this as a way to like just get things off your chest, like it's not good to hold that like stagnant energy within you. So it's just let it flow and then kind of put the
No, it's
pieces
a good
away
thing
while
for
you
me to be
flow.
able to express that. It's good to be
Yeah,
able to have a voice out there. I appreciate it immensely. Like, so thank you, Logan, for actually letting me do this. Like I said, I feel like it's a conversation between Legion and Wolverine, you know?
exactly, bro.
And Legion would get along with Wolverine because Wolverine is friends with Professor X and Legion is Professor X's son, so it makes sense, you know. But then in this case,
Yeah,
the age is inverted, you know. You're
yeah,
like a young Wolverine and I'm an older Legion.
yeah,
So
man.
it's like it's very interesting to see the situation that we ended up getting into. And some people might think this is like some cosplay shit or something. It really isn't. For anyone who's listening, this is Mutant Academy shit. It's because we actually are supernatural mutants. His name is Logan. My middle name is David. I do have the history of Legion. I believe he does have the history of Logan, and we've all been genetically altered and tampered with enough that we can definitely say we've been government experiments in many different ways.
Mm.
So, yeah, thank you again, Weapon X. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Also, one more thing that I want to tell you about is like how you were saying it's mental programming. So especially coming out of school for like that many years of my life. And then when I really started to gain more awareness of the world and of myself, I spent, I'm still spending that entire few years of just unlearning everything that I think that I know in a way. So
Yeah.
it's all these like mental spells that I've been learning to unlearn and then put the true knowledge that cannot be argued with or anything like that within my essence. So then like for example, during the ancient times, these ancient beings they internalized all of that knowledge that they knew. So then when they did need that knowledge at that point in time, then it did come out from within them. So like I don't know, I spent a lot of time trying to like I was still stuck in that school kind of way of thinking of just like knowing all of it in the mind, but not really internalizing it and understanding it on a deeper level.
But
So
that's how, that's how supernatural abilities develop. That's how extrasensory perceptions develop. For example, pyrokinesis actually happens through a concentration of the phoenix in full blossom at the pineal gland. When you're in Paramhansa mode, in the great swan mode, the great swan turns into a blazing phoenix. And when you're at 100% brain activity, you could literally have pyrokinesis coming out of your third eye. So you could literally burn somebody, like stare at them, and they start burning on the inside. They start bubbling up. Their blood temperature starts changing. It's a form of pyrokinesis. It would be subphotonic at the certain stages that we're at in evolution in human consciousness right now, but you could actually make it manifest physically, like Cyclops, for example, in the X-Men. So it's very interesting because that's the kind of stuff I was teaching at university. And I'm really,
Wow.
I bring it back to that because to me, that when you're saying you don't know what they used to be able to internalize the knowledge and do that, they could concentrate the knowledge in formidable ways, concentrate the wisdom, concentrate the amount of information, and project that in light beings.
Wow.
Oh shit.
All right. It's okay, bro.
Yo,